Every time there's a terrorist attack, a lot of Muslims think one thing. Please, don't let the attacker have a Muslim name. Because too often, one person's crime gets placed on an entire community. Today, we're going to break down a hard topic in a simple, direct, evidence-based way. Why does violent extremism happen? How do people move toward violence? And why does blaming religion usually make the problem worse? One important note. We are not justifying violence. We are not minimizing the pain of victims. And we are not targeting any community. This is about prevention. Because prevention only works when the diagnosis is accurate. A lot of people assume, if an attacker uses religious words, then religion must be the cause. But a common finding in research and real-world practice is this. Faith often describes identity. Who I am. But it often does not explain the real why behind violence. People usually reach violence through multiple factors. Political factors. Social factors. Personal factors. And sometimes, a combination of all three. For example, perceived injustice, humiliation, social exclusion, racism and discrimination, family conflict, isolation, mental health stressors, and peer networks that normalize violence. Now here's an important nuance. Not everyone who feels injustice becomes violent. Not everyone who faces discrimination becomes violent. Most people stay peaceful. So what makes the difference? Often, it's escalation. Grievance turning into obsession. Anger becoming constant. Identity becoming fractured. A deep hunger to belong. And then the wrong people, or the wrong content, selling violence as the solution. That brings us back to the big question. If religion is not the root cause, why do some attackers quote scripture? Often, ideology works like a justification layer. In other words, the decision to use violence is often already forming. Driven by grievance, anger, humiliation, loneliness, rejection. Then the person looks for a story that makes it feel legitimate. A banner to carry. A script to follow. A permission slip. That's why judging the cause by quotes alone is often misleading. If quoting scripture was enough to create terrorists, then billions of people would be violent. They are not. So something else is doing the heavy lifting. Now let's zoom out to media and public reaction. A widely discussed pattern is this. When the perpetrator is Muslim, headlines and coverage often lean heavily into religion and ideology. When the perpetrator is not Muslim, coverage often leans toward lone actor or personal problems, framing. Every case is different. But framing matters. Because framing creates fear. And fear drives both society and policy. When fear rises, people want simple answers. And the simplest answer is often, religion is the problem. But once you turn religion into the explanation, you quietly move attention away from political choices, social conditions, and structural failures. And who pays the cost? Innocent people. Normal families. Students. Workers. People who are just trying to live their lives. There's another major cost too. Collective blame and stigma break trust. And when trust breaks, early prevention becomes harder. People hesitate to seek help. Communities pull back from institutions. The gap grows. Now we move into policy and prevention. Many systems default to more surveillance, more raids, more security. Security has a role. No one denies that. But a security-only approach, especially if it treats a faith community as a default suspect, can become counterproductive. When you label an entire community as the risk, you create predictable outcomes. Trust goes down. Cooperation goes down. Alienation goes up. Polarization goes up. And violent groups gain something powerful. Recruitment fuel. They say, see, you don't belong here. So what actually helps? Effective prevention usually starts with context, not labels. Number 1. Honesty. If people feel grievances related to wars, foreign policy, or discrimination, pretending those grievances do not exist kills trust. Honest conversation does not mean excusing violence. It means acknowledging reality so engagement becomes possible. Number 2. Strengthen pro-social ties. Family support. Mentorship. Community belonging. Education and job pathways. Mental health support. Because isolation increases vulnerability. And connection protects. Number 3. Focus on behavior, not identity. Practical prevention asks. Is the person planning? Are they making threats? Is fixation escalating? Are they moving toward targets, weapons, or capability? In other words, what you are doing matters more than who you are. Number 4. A whole-of-society approach. Violence is not one community's issue. It's a society problem. And society-level solutions matter. Reducing hate. Improving media responsibility. Building social cohesion. Supporting youth. Creating better early help systems. Number 5. Language matters. Politicians, commentators, and headlines send signals. Those signals can build bridges, or light fires. When language becomes them versus us, polarization accelerates. And prevention becomes harder. One final point. Extreme ideas and violent action are not the same thing. Some people hold extreme opinions and never commit violence. Nonviolence is often the norm. That's why prevention should be designed to catch real risk signals, rather than policing identity or beliefs. Here's the bottom line. When we reduce terrorism to religion, we miss the real drivers. And when we miss the real drivers, prevention gets weaker. Society gets less safe. If we want real safety, we need evidence, not fear. We need context, not scapegoats. And most importantly, stop blaming innocent people. Start addressing real causes. If this helped you think more clearly about a hard topic, share it. Because clear thinking is part of real prevention.